Blessings on blessings,
Yes, sir.
sad they rain on high. You ever been to African church, bro?
I ever been what?
Have you ever been to an African church?
No, I have not.
Oh man, it's an experience, man. I don't care who you are. You got to go once or twice,
Oh, I bet that.
regardless of what you believe. Jehovah, Jehovah, blessings, blessings, blessings.
That that sounds like it beats. Oh, praise Jesus Christ.
I would agree with that 1000%. All right,
Yo,
what's up, folks? This is, we don't have a name yet. Call it what you want to call it. Health Talk, Talk Shop. Mind your movement and cut the noise. Air Doobie and your boy, whatever you want to call it. We're just out here just chatting it up. You know, two entrepreneurs. Access point is health. I say that because we are about more than health. However, through our journeys, we're both sort of landed in a place where we regard health as a very important piece of the foundation, if not the foundation of everything that we are here to do on this earth, which is just experience things. So today we're hopping on this talk again. And we want to talk about like entrepreneur. We might jump around, but we want to talk about just the health entrepreneurship. Really, like talk to people who've been in the business, who've either have been entrepreneurs before, whether it's in health or not, are thinking about being an entrepreneur or starting a side hustle or a business or a main hustle, or eventually want to go ahead and have ownership of something, right? Rather than going and building somebody else's dream and somebody else's company. But it's not easy. Would you agree? It's not easy.
it's not easy for sure. But it also depends what easy is to you, what hard is to you, because
Mm,
because some might say the lifestyles we live are super difficult, but I think the way you and I live them, it actually is very fulfilling and fun.
mm,
Um, and so even though, yeah, we have these things that we have to do that the average person doesn't do, or that the average person is made to do by their employer or whatever, so that there's no thinking involved. I think when you impart that level of consciousness that we have to bring because we're our own CEOs, we're our own bosses, it just becomes much more of a fulfilling endeavor.
mm. I totally agree. I totally agree. It's not easy. There are difficulties you have to overcome yourself in a lot of ways, or I have to overcome myself every day. By the end of the day, it's really, well, let me ask you, bro, at the end of the day, then why do you do it? Why, let's list some things that are push factors or pull factors for you as an individual.
Yeah, for me, really it stems from just having a very strong vision. So because
Mm,
of the journey that I've went through, because of all the things that I've experienced, I just realized that I'm just so strongly invested in what I do and the growth that I'm achieving through what I do, through the discipline, through health, essentially. And I'm so strongly I just so strongly believe in others finding themselves in the same way. And
mm,
so for me to work for another vision, uh, it's not that I have any disrespect or any kind of contempt for other people's visions, but I'm just so sure in mine that I feel, why would I do anything else?
mm,
And so that's really what a lot of it stems from. It may sound kind of condescending the way that I'm putting it, but it's not that I have distrust in anybody else. It's not that I think I'm better than anybody else. It's just that I am so sure about my vision and my goals.
mm. Well, I mean, I'll translate a little bit. That to me sounds like self-trust, like you trust yourself, right? And I
Uh-huh.
think a lot of people are trying to get there, where they trust themselves above all, because we've been taught, to trust things and people outside of ourselves, right? So whether it's in
Uh-huh.
health, trust in doctors, not yourself, right? Or experts, not yourself, right? You, the person that lives with your body, or me, the person that lives with my body 24/7, right? I don't know what's going on. And I'm not even
Right,
supposed to know what's going on. I'm supposed to give up that control. So self
right.
trust is real important in a lot of ways. And the same thing in business. I think you trust yourself and your vision. You have that HD vision of
Yeah,
where you want to try to go. And that not only pushes you towards that, but it also pulls you towards that. And just like any goal, you kind of need that to keep going, you know? So that's why you're doing it, bro. But I'm curious, well, anything else in terms of like why you're doing it? Like what else is pulling or pushing you? And then I want to hear like what are some of those obstacles that are in the way?
I think what else is pushing me is the fact that there is no job position that does what I do. There is no career, no title that does exactly what I do and works with people in the exact way that I do. So essentially, what I'm doing is paving my own way. I'm creating my own position, my own title. And that just gives me the freedom to operate how I should operate, how I want to operate on an individual level, and
Mm.
how you could say I was meant to operate on a spiritual level in terms of my purpose. And I think we oftentimes get caught in these titles and these positions, and we forget that all these things are so fluid. Like there's a spectrum to them. Like you're not just a personal trainer, you're actually a coach, you're a teacher, you're a therapist, you're whatever it is in terms of what we do. But I feel like, again, when people put themselves into those boxes, they lose the other aspects of themselves that are important, and that definitely contribute to whatever it is that they do.
Mm. So would you say that everybody should take on this path?
I think everybody should take on this path in the sense that they shouldn't put themselves into boxes. Like, even if you're going to go work for a corporation or work for somebody else, so to say, just understand or be so sure of yourself. Understand where you stand in terms of your own vision and your own goals. What do you actually want? What impact do you want to make in the world? What do you want for yourself? I think those things are really important for us to understand, or else we kind of just get lost in the sauce, and kind of lose our souls to whoever we work for. And in addition to that, we lose our creativity instead of operating again on this level where we can use this kind of skill and that kind of skill and kind of like combine them all to create this position, this unique position. We just get stuck doing, oh, I'll just do this skill and I'll be really good at it and really efficient at it, but that's all I'm doing.
Yeah, yeah, and that's I hear that, and I'm trying to, not even trying to, but my, you know, that voice inside is kind of always playing devil's advocate here, and then like, oh
Yeah,
yeah, I agree here. So devil's advocate is saying like, yeah, but you know, isn't it good to specialize, right? Isn't that what we're
yeah,
taught? All right,
yeah,
shouldn't we get really good at screwing the bolt on the left tire of the what is it, Model T, Ford
yeah,
Model T, right?
yeah, yeah.
What do you say to that, man? Like it's something we've kind of touched on off wax a little bit.
Man, I think specialization, I think a lot of it came from industrialization,
Mm-hmm.
because we, like you kind of just alluded to, we got to this point where, yeah, we have these specific ass jobs that need to be done. And so people just get into the factory and do their one task, and they get really good at it, really efficient at it. And it doesn't really leave room for them to explore other things, or it doesn't leave any room for them to contribute, to lend towards other types of skills, that they have in their tool bag.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. And I even see, tell me if you agree with this a little bit as well. I even see it as like you in a lot of ways, I have thought of those jobs, or I've never really been attracted to those jobs. But at times I wonder, will it be nice to have a position or have a job or way of making income where I could just show up like in whatever state and just do my job, get my paycheck and get out? Because the work of I look at entrepreneurship and I look at, where would labor be without entrepreneurs? Right. Where would individuals that do go to work, have an exact job description, specialize, are part of a machinery? You choose that, or you go in that direction because it's stable, it's reliable, it's predictable, right? And you always get paid. You don't take risk as labor, right? You go in, you know what you're going to be paid. As long as you show up and do what you're supposed to do, you're probably going to get that pay. So you kind of like
Yeah.
get lured to sleep a little bit, right? You get
Yeah.
complacent, you get lured to sleep. You're not really, unless you're challenging yourself to grow, you're not really incentivized to grow as an individual. But as an entrepreneur, you are your business is just an extension of you.
Yeah.
So part of why I like this track, and I wonder if it's the same for you, is that like, not only does it allot me the opportunity to grow as an individual, but I must grow as an individual for the business to grow. Right? I
Yeah.
can't sit back and let my brain go to sleep, or my revenue generating activities go to sleep, and expect to eat off of seed I didn't plant. What do you say to that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I completely agree. I mean, it's like what we always talk about, incorporating the business into our lives and vice versa. Business isn't just one separate entity, it's an extension of our lives, it's an extension of what we love to do. And so, in that way, we're growing in business as we grow in life, and we're growing in life as we grow in business. The two are completely connected. And I think that's how I view anything. That's how I view training, for instance, too, is as you learn these foundational principles of training, you learn how to, um, in a way, just really get to the root of things. You then kind of see the patterns between training and life, or between
Mm,
business and life. And these
yeah,
patterns are really what allow you to excel, and really what allow you to kind of explore and really like see what the universe is, so to say.
yeah. I think that's a great point. I always say this, like for me, training is my access point, right? And when I say that, I mean my access point to life in a lot of ways, right? So that's
Yeah,
that's kind of how I get whatever it is you're trying to access in life. We come at it from different points. But for me, training has always been that access point. It's always been that one thing where everything else starts to shake or crumble in my life. I know that I can always come back to this to kind of like stabilize me, right? So
mm,
like a inception type of situation. You spin that
yeah,
little top or whatever,
yeah,
what is reality? I forget the rules, but it's kind of been like that for me. And in a way, I've created my life a bit to kind of look and force that, right?
yeah.
Yeah,
So,
that's
question.
go ahead, man.
So, what would you recommend somebody do to start on this path of basically living the life you want to live and
Mm,
making a business out of it?
yeah, man, that's a great question. I think first and foremost, every situation is really different, right? So if you're fresh out of college, you're looking for your first job, you've got some student loan debt, maybe a little credit card debt, you're just kind of like getting going. It might be your situation is very different than somebody who's like maybe like 45, has been working for a while, has a young family, and is kind of growing and going that way, versus somebody who's like getting ready to really kind of hit retirement and moving forward. So depending on where you are, so I mean, let's narrow it down to somebody out of college, post college, maybe out for a couple of years, has worked a job or two, and is now thinking about um, how do I take everything, or how do I start to establish something outside of this, like exchanging my energy for a paycheck? How do I start to establish something that's mine, something that I can grow, something I know I can invest in, that can continue to pay me in perpetuity, regardless of whether I'm exchanging my actual time or energy or not. So speaking of that individual, I'll say it's very important to take stock of where you are, and take care, go inside out, starting in the center, a core of everything, and then working your way out. So I think first and foremost, like, it might be a great idea for you to get something predictable, something that, you show up, you do your work, you learn from the business, something that not only are you getting a paycheck, but I'll challenge finding something that you can be forced to engage in growth activities somehow, whether it's being close to the CEO, whether it's being close to your manager who's going to like help you develop as a person, whether it's you going outside of work and setting up little growth opportunities for yourself. Because that stability of that job allows you to get your budget right, get handle your debt, get income, this get a stream of income going, and kind of like stabilize yourself, right? So using that to maybe get out of debt or get out of bad debt, and establishing 3 to 6 months of expenses, and then you know that, hey, if I take a risk, I'm not gonna fall straight on my face and have absolutely nothing to lay back on, right? I got
Hmm.
a little something set up, or at least I don't owe nobody anything, right?
Uh-huh.
Nobody's
Uh-huh.
gonna come knocking on my door and be like, hey, what's up, right? And I have a little cushion there. So at that point, you want to start thinking, what are my skills? Like, what do I enjoy? What am I good at? What am I always looking at? What am I always researching? What do I gravitate towards to on social media, on YouTube? What do I gravitate towards to my alone time? And that, right. So I think you look at that. If it's health and wellness, or if it's anything that can be taught, and you have an expertise in that area, then that, in my opinion, digital kind of like information is probably one of the easiest tracks to take on, or aligning yourself with a product that you really believe in or utilize, and going about it that way. I think there's so many little things that people can take on, but
Hmm.
everybody's kind of looking for the long run, right? For the
Hmm.
long home
Hmm.
run, right? So that's what I'll say. Look at your current situation, make sure you stabilize the core, where it is right now, and then look at how can you go ahead and invest in yourself to get skills that you can monetize, such as information or expertise in a particular, or a product or a service, right? And I think from that point, it's fairly individualized from that point moving
Hmm.
forward. But whatever you bring in, I think the key then to the next level, which is a totally different conversation, is figuring out what do you do with the stuff that comes in, with the money that already comes in, to allow you to continue to grow and establish a base for yourself. So, for example, when the money comes in, how much are you saving? How much are you spending? How much are you investing? Right. And then where are you putting those different buckets, and to how much? That's what's going to determine everything moving forward, in my opinion. Right. So that's a long-winded way to answer the question, but like to get kind of like a whole framework of how I see it, at least. What
Yeah.
what what in there do you agree with, disagree with, or like what do you take from that?
I think I mean, all of it was great stuff. I think what I want to touch on are the internal components a little bit. Um,
Mm,
yeah, so in addition to understanding your skills, what you have to offer, the value that you can bring to the world, I think it's
mm,
really important to just understand yourself on a deep level. That's part of the understanding, is understanding the skills and the value that you can have. I think also understanding the different thought patterns that may be characteristic of you, the different emotional patterns. And I
mm,
think just generally speaking, getting your health in check, because as we always say, and this is such a cliche statement, but health is wealth. And so without that initial capital of health, I think it's very difficult to build. And speaking for myself, I didn't know shit about business going into business, put quite simply. But I think what has allowed me to really find my way was being so adamant about sticking to my healthful principles. I always
Mm,
prioritized my well-being no matter what. And so because I was always building on that foundation, that strong foundation of health and well-being, I think it was easier for me to adapt. It was easier for me to learn. It was easier for me to really just grow in a lot of ways. In I believe a way more efficient way than a lot of people who are trying to go through the same endeavor. So that's why I always say, no matter what you're doing, whether you want to be an entrepreneur or not, focus on your health from an internal standpoint, and everything else will fall into place. You're just going to be positioning yourself to succeed better.
mm. I think that's incredibly important. I gave that long answer and didn't touch on that a piece of it, which will
That's
probably
why
the
we're
most
both
important
here.
piece. Yes,
That's why
sir.
we're both here, bro. The
I-
financial piece is almost just not, if not just as important.
eventually, but right off the bat, though, you gotta get your health right. I think you're
Yeah,
absolutely right.
yeah,
Without that, you can't really do anything, and that's why we're here.
right.
I can't, I've met a lot of very wealthy individuals that will trade all the money they have for their health back, right? You go, a simple visit to the hospital will tell you that. Um, I think I was listening to an interview of with the editor of the Trends magazine or journal, Trends journal, that looks at um, non polluted, let's call it data, but looks at that's typically in the mainstream data and looks at real data on what's going
Yeah,
on and publish it in the Trends Journal. And we're asking them about all the stuff going on, and maybe we'll leave on this note, all the craziness going on. And they were like, I think his name's Jared or Gerald or Jared, I forget what it is. But he's like, well, what would you advise people to do? And he's typically like a money slash politics guy. He's like, well, what would you advise people to do in this crazy like season? Like, what do they need to do? And they were kind of waiting for like a money response, like and buy gold or invest in foreign currency or whatever. But the thing he said that was really interesting to me is that, like, hey, listen, this the number one thing everybody needs to do right now is make sure they're taking care of their health. Like number one, right?
yeah,
And then we'll talk about everything else. Because
yeah, yeah.
right now we're in a really a situation where taking care of your health is, and we're not just talking about like your physique. That's let's expand that definition. We're talking about your mental health, spiritual health, your energy, both in terms of like vitality, but also your actual energy, aura, right? Your like all types of different stuff. Like that's all health. It's so shocking to me that we again cut and dice like some part of health is not, or some of these stuff is not. All is health. Health is how you live, literally.
Health is how you live. Health is life. And like you said, I really don't think we could separate it into all these boxes. It's not physique. It's not just diet. It's not just how you work out. It's really how you live life. And I think that's something that people really should understand, should really dig deeper into, because once you understand that concept, then you have the framework to live a better life.
And
And
that
how
includes business.
exactly, exactly. And so how do you tap into this? It's through your body. It's nothing else. How do you tap into life? How do you experience life? It's your body, nothing else. We could have all these beliefs about heaven, hell, God, the universe, whatever it is, but we're experiencing all of it through our bodies, through our minds, through our emotions. Like it's the only way. So why would we not go deeper and deeper into our vessels to figure this out?
1,000. And we're gonna keep showing up on a weekly basis to really start diving into some of this stuff. And listen, if one person shows up, it's totally worth it here because what we're speaking is not mainstream. What we're speaking is not things that you see on the news. What we're speaking is not things that our parents know about. What we're speaking is not things our teachers know about. You know, certainly bankers ain't telling us this. All right, and certainly, all of them are not telling us this. So that's the stuff we really dive in. And our access point is through health, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't affect us. Literally everything in life. So we'll keep coming back every Tuesday, or best we can every Tuesday. And guys, it'll be a lot better, right? If you drop us some questions, man. Let's see what you actually care about and what you actually want to hear us chat
Yeah,
about. Man, we
yeah,
can always come up with stuff, but what do you guys want to hear? You got something to say,
yeah.
boss?
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say to tell the people what you got going on right now to promote their health and to build this base for living life better, like we're talking
Mm.
about.
Absolutely, man. I think that's a great one. Now, for me right now, one of the main access points, because I believe in the 7 baby steps of health. Step number one being resetting your gut, your center, right? Resetting that. And for me, I teach fasting to do that, specifically taking a vacation from solid foods and reset and rehydrating the body and allowing the body to clean itself and thus heal itself. And I do that with a group every month. This month will be on the 22nd. If you're interested in that, we've got a ton of free information for you. DM me and I'll send you a link to our landing page so that you can find out more about it and put your name down if you're interested in the future. We'll send you a message whenever it's going down, and then you're always free to join. And a lot of people have gotten a lot of benefit from it. So that's what we're doing on this end to add to the conversation and really to help people cut down on all the noise that's literally polluting our system right now, and focus on the 20% of things we do to bring 80% of the results in life. So that's
Yeah.
what you got. I know you always got something going on, bro, but right now specifically, what do you want the people to know about?
Yeah, right now specifically. So we all have this craving to be physically fit, right? Whether it's we want to look a certain way, we want to be able to run this fast, jump this high, run for this long. But I think what people are lacking in their fitness regimen, which obviously is something that's going to promote health, which is going to promote this foundational aspect of our lives in which we're talking about. But what people are missing is bringing their entire being into their training, into their movement. So, what I do is help people find more sustainability in their training,
Mm,
find more fulfillment in their training to not only reach their training goals in a more effective way, in a more efficient way, but to also find more fulfillment in what it is that they do. So right now, I have a 12-week program going on where essentially we're taking people through this workout program that gets them to not only be more athletic, to understand their body at a deeper level, but also teaches them how to fit the overall scheme of training into their lives in a way that transfers, in a way that makes sense, in a way that you're not just training just to train, but you're training to grow as a person.
mm. Not just training to train, but training to grow as a person. That's it. That's it. We'll leave
Yes,
y'all with
sir.
that and tap in with both of us. If either one of those offerings sounds like something that could be beneficial in your life, and we'll be back next Tuesday.
Yes,
I'll
sir.
be on the East Coast. You'll still be in Florida, yeah?
Yeah, I'll still be here.
Hey, he
ESC
said.
asked the question actually.
Oh yeah, what was the
Um,
question?
we we could get to that next time. We could frame that in our
Oh,
conversation.
that's a great question. Would you recommend
Exactly.
fasting to someone who works out every day? So I work out every day and I fast, and absolutely I would, but there's obviously a lot more to it than just a simple yes. It depends a lot on what the variables are. We can get into that a little bit, for sure.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think that's a topic that hits on both of our levels of expertise. So definitely something to talk about next time potentially.
Thank you for that question. Yeah, for sure. Let's get that down. Would you recommend fasting to somebody who works out every day? Absolutely. Yeah, man, we could break that down for a bit. Let's take that next week.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, fam. Talk soon. All right, guys, we'll see you.
All right, guys. Peace.